I get the all clear?
1 second, but I think yes.
Who are you? This you? Well, first start the thing. I did. Okay. All right.
Okay, okay. If you ask one more, I'll make it. Okay, our tech is now working. We have quorums.
We're going to begin.
Welcome everyone to CB2's March full board meeting. I'm Susan Kent, board chair. We are going to begin with a roll call vote. I mean, attendance.
I do.
Attendance. Yeah.
Roll call attendance.
I am muted.
I've been doing this too long.
All right. Can everyone hear me okay?
And I would like to please ask everyone who's online, please keep your camera on. You're expected to be seen as well as heard. So please.
Thanks, Susan. Good evening, folks. We'll start at the top. Suzanne Aaron. William Benesh. Keen Berger. Carter Booth. I see him online. Carter? Okay.
Wow.
Amazing. Okay. We will proceed. Katie Board. Anita Brandt. Amy Brenna. Rich Cacapola. Ritu Chai. Valerie De La Rosa. Chris Dignas. Arturo Fernandez. Mara Fitzgerald.
Here.
Thanks, Mar. Stella Fitzgerald.
Here. Online.
You. Cormac Flynn.
Here.
Susan Gammy. David Gruber. David Gruber. Okay. Juliet Kay is absent with notification. Zachary Kazaz. Susan Kent.
Here.
Ryder Kessler. Janine Kiley. Ivy Kwan Ars.
Here.
Thanks, Ivy. Patricia Laria.
Here.
Janet Liff is absent with notification. Benjamin Listman. Ed Ma.
Here.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Hugh Metzger. Matt Metzger. Okay. Erica Olson. Brian Pape.
Here.
Donna Raftery. Lois Rakoff. Bo Riccobono. Just checking. Okay. Rocio Sands. Shirley Secunda.
Here.
Thanks, Shirley. Edward Siegel. Frederica Siegel.
Here, thank you.
Thanks, Frederica. Emma Smith. Dr. Shirley Smith.
Present.
Thank you. Chenault Spence.
Here.
Thank you. Susan Wittenberg. Anthony Wong.
No.
Eugene Yu. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Before we start public session, I'm going to invite State Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel to address us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. State Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel. I'm literally back from Albany an hour ago, but I wanted to come by and say hello and just update you on the budget. Right now, we're in Albany negotiating the budget, both houses, the Assembly and Senate. I see our Assembly member Deborah there quite a bit and Senator Kavanaugh. And we're negotiating that with the governor as we speak. Let me just tell you what the top issues for the governor are, and the legislature will be responsive to them. Involuntary commitment. The governor's looking to change the laws around who can get committed. Obviously, there's a lot of folks struggling with mental health in public spaces in particular. I want to say that a bill that I carried, told you about it maybe a couple of months ago called the Health stands for Harnessing the Expertise of Licensed Professionals, which would expand the number of mental health professionals who can direct an individual into treatment. A bill that I carried is in the governor's budget and is part of her proposal. So I'm very happy about that. It's going to be a long conversation because obviously when you're talking about involuntary commitment, you're talking about an individual's civil liberties. And thankfully, my colleagues and I don't take that terribly lightly. So going to be a lot of discussion, though. I hope we make progress because we do need reform on that issue. The second issue that the governor will be advancing and I support is reform in discovery. And discovery is essentially when a prosecutor has to turn over evidence to the defendant's attorneys in a criminal case. And the fact of the matter is there are technicalities and felony cases are being dismissed because of technical mistakes on the part of the prosecution. Mistakes that don't put the defendant at a disadvantage, but the defendant is in fact released. Our district attorney, Alvin Bragg, supports these reforms, as do I. So I hope we'll see some progress in that area as well. But again, because we're talking about the rights of defendants, my colleagues are taking this seriously, as they should. So it's going to be a negotiation. The third issue that the governor is advancing is the renewal of a ban on masks. Now that's complicated because a lot of us wear masks for health reasons. What the governor is trying to focus on are people who wear masks to disguise their identities while they engage in unlawful activity, namely harassing other New Yorkers. Once again, that's a complicated issue because you don't want to round up people who are wearing a mask legitimately. And how do you differentiate those people from the folks who are trying to wear a mask to disguise their identity at a public protest, for example? I generally support revisiting the mask ban as we had before COVID. But once again, there are issues of First Amendment and civil liberties at stake here. So we're going to have to work through those issues. And then the final big ticket issue that the governor is advancing is called the bell-to-bell ban on cell phones for students. I know this as a parent of a 14-year-old. I strongly support taking cell phones away from young people at school. I wish we could do it at home too, but her proposal does not go that far. I guess that's my responsibility. But we hopefully will see that in the final enacted budget. We have the support of the UFT and other administrators in the school system to get that work done. And then finally, just wanted to say that I had a civil rights town hall. Thank you to those who attended or saw it online. Obviously, there's a lot at stake here in New York and across the country as the federal administration continues to disband and encroach and destroy our federal agencies. And we have to fight back. And that was the focus of our conversation. There was one bright spot today. I had filed an inquiry with the New York State Inspector General about the fact that Yeshiva University had barred LGBTQ students from forming their own club. It's the first time they've ever done that at Yeshiva, and it had existed for 2 years. Well, today it was announced that Yeshiva has conceded that they will in fact recognize the LGBTQ student club. So a little bit of light in an otherwise dark period, but look forward to talking to you more about Caroline Wexelbaum, sorry, has put out our report on the table outside. Thank you very much. Happy spring.
Thank you, Brad. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Ritu.
Can you speak a little bit about what
the governor and what the legislature is planning for Medicaid cuts, work requirements, and the fact that New York relies 90% of its funding from the federal government.
Obviously a huge concern. And the truth is, it's going to be very difficult for New York State to backfill Medicaid dollars that are cut by the federal government. We're looking at some short-term solutions, which may involve some new taxes. Speaking of taxes, but it's just too large a part of our budget to replenish with state taxes. Some of the taxes we're waiting for coordination with our federal partners who sadly are in the minority in both houses, as you know, in Congress. So we're in a pickle when it comes to this issue, and there's no clear path. But I will say that we did look at redirecting a tax cut in the Senate One House that the governor had been proposing. She wanted to give $300 checks to every New Yorker under a certain level of income. Well, the state Senate thought that we could take those tax cuts and direct them toward Medicaid eligible New Yorkers instead, namely seniors. So that's one plan on the table in the Senate One House. You can read more about some of the Senate One House proposals, but I will say that this is an issue that is high on our priority list, but we're still discussing in the budget how to respond effectively, but it's very difficult. Speaking of taxes, we're also going to have to come up with a way to recover any revenue that may be lost if congestion pricing is in fact canceled tomorrow. By the way, there's going to be a rally with Governor Hochul on 14th Street and 10th Avenue tomorrow at I think 10 a.m. Please come and show your support for congestion pricing. We still have another capital plan to pay for in the next year. So we're looking at taxes that we might have to impose to pay for that plan as well. So, but right now it's looking like a corporate franchise tax may be one option, but it's still very, very unclear as to whether we will get a tax across the finish line, given the governor's opposition to that. Do you have the time on that? West 14th and 9th tomorrow. And let me just look quickly here about Medicaid in our One House description. Yeah, well, our One House does direct, and the One House is the Senate's version of the budget. Which conveniently does not have to be balanced. So we direct 1.5 billion in healthcare investments, 355 million in hospital funding, 250 million for nursing homes, 100 million for New York City Health and Hospitals, and 50 million to support FQHCs, federally qualified health centers. And expanded Medicaid coverage and protections for vulnerable populations, 35 million for the Reproductive Freedom and Equity Grant Program. But this is a statement of our values in the Senate One House. We're going to have to meet the governor in these discussions and find a way to pay for all this.
Thank you. Cormac. Oh, there we go.
Hello, Brad. I was at Sheridan Square at the rally that you and Eric and others spoke at the day the executive order was signed, stripping transgender identity from the national monument there. President Trump signed an executive order stripping references to transgender identity from Stonewall. And it occurs to me that one of the ways to push back on the erasure of trans folks is for us in the city and state to make sure that we mention it a lot and put up our own monuments and things. Now, during the de Blasio administration, there was a proposal to create a memorial to Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, right? I remember distinctly because I was a designated community board liaison, which was awkward because it's the de Blasio administration, so they actually did not want the community involved in any way. It appears to have vanished without a trace. And I was wondering, I know you're at the state now, but hopefully that will change in November. If there's any chance of reviving that or something like it.
I think it's a great idea, Cormac. We're actually, I'm actually writing a bill, spoke to my team about it today, because Stonewall, not just is a federally recognized landmark, it's also a state and city. And so we're preparing legislation to direct the state Historic Preservation Office to erect signs around the perimeter of Stonewall with the transgender inclusion as a way to demonstrate to the public that New York stands with trans New Yorkers. So we're actually working on that as we speak. But I'll follow up with the council member on the city initiative. I don't know if you've noticed though, the federal signage around Sheridan Square is pretty subpar to begin with. I think it's like vinyl signs with zip ties attached to the fence.
I think it's just meant to be temporary. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's going to be temporary, I guess, for the next 4 years, but hopefully we can do something at the state level, and I'm sure Councilmember Botcher's thinking about something at the city level. Speaking of quid pro quos, that's a non sequitur, but I wanted to mention something else. I don't know if you recall, but as chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, I filed an attorney grievance complaint against Rudy Giuliani 4 years ago and got him disbarred. We got him disbarred. And I just filed one against Emil Bove to get him disbarred as well. So stay tuned to see if we're successful on that front. As you know, he's the deputy U.S. Attorney General who brokered the deal to allow our mayor to have his case dismissed for corruption. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brad. Now I will call on Councilmember Botcher.
Hi, everyone. Really great to see everyone on this. Is this fake spring? What holiday is this? What season of weather is this? Real spring. It's the first day of spring. Wow. Really great to be here, everyone, and give you a few updates. And I'm going to start with our efforts to address public safety in Community Board 2. It's one of the things that we hear the most about from constituents day in and day out, particularly on the 6th Avenue corridor, Washington Square, West 4th Street subway station. And we had what I think is a really big step in the right direction when District Attorney Alvin Bragg and the mayor's office established a new interagency task force modeled after those that we've had elsewhere in the city, including up in our district in Midtown, around the Garment District in Times Square. And what it is a task force of government stakeholders and community stakeholders that meets every 2 weeks and gets everyone around the table, and not just the decision makers on top. That's important, but the actual social service agencies that are out in the neighborhood, because what we've seen historically is a lack of coordination where you have the local precinct is responding to calls about, narcotics and shoplifting, et cetera, and they're familiar with individuals. Often they've got mental health and substance use disorder issues as well. And then on the other hand, you've got social service agencies and homeless outreach groups who are going out and engaging with those people as well, but they're never talking to each other, the precinct and the social service agencies. So we found in the Garment District, the 8th Avenue corridor between 34th Street and 42nd Street up in Times Square, is that when we get everyone around the table and they come up with a plan for addressing on a case-by-case basis the public safety needs, what are the locations that are problematic, who are the individuals in our community who are cycling in and out of the precinct, and what can we do, marshaling all the resources of the city to address it. We've seen improvement. Now we've got that down here in the village. It's something that we've been asking for a long time and really happy to have it. And we're hoping to be able to report on results of that effort. I always want to mention this when I talk about public safety is my call to expand the Be Heard program to our district. That is a program in which mental health professionals respond to mental health crisis calls in addition to just the precinct. Because right now in our district, when someone calls 911 for a mental health crisis call, it's the local precinct cops responding. Did anyone see the video of Wendy Williams calling for help in Hudson Yards in her? And there's a bunch of beat cops come into her apartment building to bring her to get help. We need, for those kind of calls, mental health professionals to be out in the field. And there's 31 precincts in New York City who have this program and 0 in Council District 3. So when I'm down at City Hall in this year's budget, my number one priority is getting the Be Heard program expanded. And when I'm engaging with potential mayoral candidates and others, I'm asking them about this program because we should have this program citywide, and we certainly should have it on the west side of Manhattan, a district that sees between 50 and 100 million tourists every year and huge amounts of people in our transit hubs. We need this program, very important. My scaffolding legislation is probably going to get voted on next week at next week's stated meeting. Sidewalk sheds, scaffolding covering over 300 miles of New York City sidewalks. It's something that you don't see in any other city around the world, even cities that are much older than ours, that have a lot more terracotta than we do. You don't see sheds on every block of New York City. My legislation would establish a time limit for property owners. Once you erect the scaffolding, you've got 5 months to pull all the permits to do the work. And then you have 8 months to begin the work. If you need more time, because sometimes, and I'm looking at you because you're always thinking about the property owners, you can get an extension if there's extenuating circumstances. Like sometimes there's problems, like you can't get a contractor. Your neighbor won't give you access. You can get an extension, but we really need to get on top of this. And I think that this is part of a package of legislation will make a big difference. We celebrated the finalization of the 6th Avenue protected bike lane. It's extended below Canal Street up to West 9th Street, and then it's going to be, and it's widened up to 14th. And then they're going to widen it further up Midtown. I know Community Board 2 passed a number of resolutions over the years asking for this. And when I took office, my goal is to get every major corridor covered with protected bike lanes, and not just the bike lanes, but the pedestrian refuge islands, shorten the crossing distance for pedestrians, and they provide new tree planting opportunities. As you know, another one of my big issues, we've planted around 700 new trees in the last 3 years and 3 months. Street trees are important in many ways, and now we're going to have them in more locations up and down our avenues. A week from tonight, we are having our participatory budgeting Expo. For those of you not familiar with participatory budgeting, that is the process through which you can vote on how your tax dollars are spent in our community. I've put aside $1 million in city council discretionary funds for city capital projects that the community will get to vote on how it is spent. For the last few months, participatory budgeting delegates have been meeting and coming up and coming up and come. Thank you. For the last few months, budget delegates have been meeting and coming up with a list of items, and we're going to be announcing ballot next week. We're going to be announcing the ballot, and at our participatory budgeting expo 1 week from tonight at the Museum of Broadway, you'll have the opportunity to learn about, get a sneak peek at the ballot items and vote early. And then the voting will begin next weekend and last for a week. It's not only an opportunity for you to be part of the decision-making process, it's also a way that we open up the budgeting process for New Yorkers and illuminate it, let people know how it works. And high school and middle school students are eligible to vote. And for many young people, it's the first time they've ever voted in their lives on anything. And I'm so excited about that and really excited to be here with you. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, I've got a couple of hands. I'm working my way around. I'll start with Zach, and then I'll go to Ryder, and then I'll go to Rocio. But we need a microphone. 1 second, you will be handed a microphone.
Okay. Thanks, Councilmember Butcher. Zach here.
Column,
I know the column's really tough.
I'll stand here.
Okay. Thanks for all the updates on public safety. One thing that, you know, as our streets are getting less congested, placard abuse is becoming even more obvious. There was a great op-ed just a couple weeks ago about how having cops not follow the rules has this potential implication for other people not to follow the rules as well. It was a big topic a couple years ago. There's a new police commissioner who's trying to rid out corruption. Curious if the city council is going to open that door again and start cracking down on it.
Placard abuse has been a big issue for many years, and there's been many bites at the apple for trying to tackle it. And I think, you know, some efforts have been more successful than others. What he's referring to is people putting fake placards in there, either fake placards or their actual placards and just using them improperly. Sometimes, by the way, it's as much as like putting a construction vest on the dashboard or something like that. I think the new police commissioner is definitely an opportunity to re-up our efforts on placard abuse. One of my big priorities that you might know about is ghost plates, which is a very related issue. And ghost plates are extremely dangerous in that they also, in addition to allowing people to skirt the law, they make it impossible to identify vehicles that might be involved in hit and runs and stuff like that. I passed legislation that requires the publication of data with respect to ghost plates so we can track and monitor our efforts, know where and when it's happening, how our enforcement efforts are going. We need to take all these efforts a lot more seriously than we have been. I know that there have been some big enforcement actions, some big like blitzes, but we also need to use technology. I wrote to the mayor of the Department of Environmental Protection, who's in charge of sound violations for loud vehicles, about using artificial intelligence in a responsible way with the noise detection cameras that we have to help them more accurately identify and ticket vehicles that are violating the law through these cameras. That applies to these plates as well. It's an ongoing effort and definitely something I'd like to be in touch with you directly about.
Yeah, that'd be great. There's a lot of overlap also between placard abuse and ghost plates, and you can call 911 for a ghost plate driving, but you can't for a ghost plate parked. And you know, those 301 tickets are just unopened. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Ryder.
Hi there. I wanted to ask about the Sixth Avenue protected bike lane because I think it's great. But I found when I was reading your email celebrating it, I kind of was getting frustrated as I saw that this was over 10 years in the making and that so it had first come up in 2014. We as a board passed resolutions about it in 2017 and 2024. And so I guess like while we can celebrate the win, how do we create a culture where it doesn't take 10 years to create one protected bike lane? And that's in the context of having a streets plan law that requires 50 miles a year that we are woefully behind on. And I think less than half of that was done last year. So how do we make it better?
The leadership comes from the top. And one thing that we all have to ask about during this mayoral election is street safety, including building out our protected bike lane infrastructure and safe streets infrastructure. The president and the right wing would like for there to be a pulling back from our efforts to reclaim more street space from cars for people, for cyclists. In fact, as you probably know, President Trump is, I don't even like calling him that. Donald Trump has called for us to rip out our bike lanes and said he's going to have our bike lanes ripped out. That ain't happening. We're going to ride. Well, he's not only does he not ride a bike, I don't think he's ever like done anything but get driven around for his entire life. We're not ripping out our bike lanes. We know that bike lanes make things safer for everyone and they reduce safety, they reduce injuries and deaths for everyone, including pedestrians and including drivers. And we need to make sure that during the mayor's race, we get commitments from everyone to not only continue efforts to build out our safe infrastructure, but to increase those.
Thank you.
Rocio, thank you.
Thank you, Ryder.
You want us to shorten the time for the deadline for the scaffold?
No, actually, I have another, I have another comment. Maybe you can think about this and add it to your bill. So regarding the scaffolding bill, will this bill require a mediator to be involved in resolving disputes when neighbors do not provide access agreements? Usually one has to go to court to request and demand access agreements, which is costly and time consuming, and the case may not be resolved within the proper time. So this is something that you might think about that is a prerequisite to going to court. Have a mediator involved to resolve the access agreements.
That's not in my bill, but that is one of the efforts underway. I actually tried to introduce that bill and apparently it's a state, the state would have to do it. We're preempted by state law. What she's referring to is the fact that when you are doing facade work or many other kinds of work with your building, you often need access by your neighbors through your neighbor's property to complete your work. And you'd be surprised how many times the neighbor says, "Nuh-uh." That's when the scaffolding will sit there and then or they'll say, "I'll see you in court." Or,
Costs a lot
write
of money.
me, they'll shake them down.
A lot of money.
Or they'll try to shake them down. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. There should be like you said, a mediation or an arbitration. So that is part of the mix here that we've got to get done to reduce the amount of time that scaffolding stays up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I see, you can just leave it on the chair. I see no more hands, so thank you so much for.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks.
Okay, now we're gonna start the public session and I will turn it over to our first vice chair.
Great, thank you so much. We're going to first start out with Marissa Yanni from DSNY. And just a reminder that public session is 2 minutes. And I'm going to go through everyone who signed up either online or in person. And then I will ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak during the public session and to raise their hand either on Zoom or in the room. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Is it okay? That's how you know the council member was here, because it was so high up. Last joke. Okay, so hi, everyone. My name is Marissa Yanni. I'm the Manhattan Community Affairs Liaison for the Department of Sanitation. This is just to remind everyone, starting April 1st, it's no joke. You will receive a ticket if you do not compost. Compost is mandatory via law. You must separate your food scraps and yard waste and food soil paper from your regular garbage. Compost must go in a bin, does not need to be one of our brown compost bins. Any bin under 55 gallons with a lid clearly labeled. I did leave some labels with our decals for compost on the table outside. If you do need more, I'm happy to bring stacks of them to the district office. That way it's easier for you to get them. Also, I did leave a flyer out there. The summonses will start, and depending on the size of your building, the price will increase, and it is larger. So if it's 1 to 8 units, it's $25, $50, and $100. 9 units or more, it's $100, $200, and $300 for this fine. So do keep that in mind as you're doing your garbage. Thank you so much. April 1st. That's up to you.
Okay, something. Sorry, I had a question from Susan Wittenberg, and then Rocio Sands. If we could get a mic, and then Janine, and then Nicole Barth. So I'll pass the mic. Can someone else, is there extra mics we could pass around?
Oh, great. We have a mic.
Thanks, Rocio.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rocio.
Hi, I live in a mixed-use building in Soho, and there are many in NoHo. Buildings like these don't have city garbage that pick them up, so we're excluded from the composting. I've tried to see if our building would do it. Is there any, they said we can't because they use private carting companies. Is there any way these office buildings, mixed-use buildings can do composting as well?
Sorry, that took me a second. That's an interesting thought. I don't have an answer for that right now. They do have to containerize, but don't have to separate. Only certain food restaurants have to compost.
Yeah, they don't have to, but I wish they could.
It's an office building.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a great thought. I will bring that up to everybody.
So Rocio.
I want to thank you for coming to speak to us today. Have you also decided to reach out to the tenant advocate groups that should be teaching tenants what to do about composting? Because I don't think all right. So sorry, I will start again. Thank you for coming tonight and telling us about composting. The composting rules will punish the property owners for the tenants' inaction, failure to compost, which is totally unfair as far as I'm concerned. So my suggestion is that the government should go and teach tenants what to do. So it's great that you're coming here. I don't know how many of us are, some of us are tenants, some of us are property owners here. But it would be a good idea to go to the tenant advocates and have these kinds of meetings where tenants are constantly taught their rights and how to protect their tenancies, but they do not get taught the responsibilities of being a tenant in good standing, which means composting. It's not fair for the property owner or the people porters to handle dirty, disgusting things that are thrown in the garbage. So will someone be going and teaching the tenants?
We have been doing presentations like this and tabling in residential buildings. Granted, there are thousands upon thousands of residential buildings in New York City, not even just Manhattan alone. But yes, we have been doing things like that. And we do have our info session, which is recorded on our website. And we've been sending it out to everybody. Again, not 8.5 million people, but as many people as possible. But I will bring this back to the team and see what other concerted effort and what else we can do aside from what we've been doing. But we've been hitting a lot of buildings, tabling in the lobby, if you will. But yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. How many times can a building be cited, like given a ticket or a summons?
I don't want to say infinite, right? But technically, infinite, like as often,
Well, is it like every month, every week?
could be every time we see it, just not more than once in a day. Could be weekly.
I have encouraged my building to do compost. And the managing agent said they didn't get the brown container yet. So I'm hearing that we could explain how we'd use another type of container for the building. Not just me, I know what to do, but to bring it down to the recycling, to the compost. So could you explain that? And I could speak or email my managing agent of my building.
You want me to explain it right now?
In a few sentences.
Sure. So, sorry, I feel like on my eyebrows. Okay. So for a compost, you may use any bin with a lid under 55 gallons, clearly labeled. Boom. That's it. Like that is it. Just any bin.
Compost.
Yes, you could take one of the decals. Oh, fantastic. If you need more, do let the board know and I'll bring 100 more to the board. But yes, that's literally it. It doesn't have to be my brown compost bin. Doesn't have to be that at all.
Well said.
Thank you.
Great. Janine and then Nicole.
Hi, for compost, what color plastic bags do you put in the bin? And pizza boxes, we have one of those little brown ones. We're a self-managed building. You have one pizza party, it's overfilled. Can you just put those in a plastic bag next to it? How does that work?
So inside the bin, clear is preferable. You can make sure the bin is lined anyway with a clear bag. And then if other people come in using other colored bags in there, that's fine, as long as the outer bag is clear. We prefer that. For the pizza boxes, the only time it would really go in the compost bin is if it is truly soiled. Now, I trust my New Yorkers would never let pizza sit in the box and get that greasy for that long. So truthfully, yes, that is then regular cardboard or the recycling, that's the word, in a clear bag or, flatten them and twine them up together. That's how you could put your pizza boxes. Just treat it as regular cardboard recycling.
Okay. Hi, Marissa.
Hi, Nicole.
I just wanted to let everybody know that Councilmember Botcher held 3 different information sessions with sanitation and the Lower East Side ecology group so that we could talk all about composting and they were very highly attended. So thank you again for that. I actually received a call this week that I didn't know, and I was going to bring it up with you. Somebody said they're in a building that they only have 3 apartments in the building, and all of the people in the building do their composting in the orange bins on the corners. They received a warning from sanitation about composting, and what if they don't? Does everyone have to put out a bin, or what if they do it in a different way? They're not going to get a ticket unless they find evidence of the composting, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
If you see on my flyer, it says compost is mandatory, not curbs, because it originally did, not curbside. So I saw the change, not curbside composting is mandatory. It's only if I open up, not me, but if we open up that black bag and I see the loose pizza crust and I see that in there, then you're getting that ticket. It's not due to lack of compost bin that you will receive the ticket. It is actual compostable material in the black bag. But you can use the orange bin. Keep using them. Your food scrap drop-off sites, if all over the city, the green markets are going to open back up. Feel free to keep using those.
Wonderful. Thank you. We do have a question from Chenault Spence online. Chenault?
Okay.
I want to ask about the other bins. There's the big to-do about having to buy certain bins by a certain date. And we and many others, at least on our block, just to see, have bins that conform to the regulation already. Is there a possibility of being modified so that we can use them with a decal or whatever's required?
So the mandate right now is you need to use units of buildings with 1 to 9 units, have to use a bin, 55 gallons or less with a lid for their garbage. It does not need to be the official NYC bin through the website with the logo on it and everything. If you bought that already, I appreciate you. If you didn't buy it, you're totally fine. Just use a bin with a lid under 55 gallons. I don't really care anything else about it. So
And that continues onward, yes.
sorry, say it again. Oval?
That's forever, not until a certain date.
Oh, you have to use my bin, the NYC bin, starting June 1st, 2026. So you have a little time to buy it.
And to hopefully not have to buy it. I don't understand the theory of buying a bin that's the same as the bin we have. That's my, I'm sure we can't do it.
Sorry, because it's gonna be, what's the word? Thank you. Because it's gonna be retro, there we go, retrofitted to my trucks. So only our specifications of the bins are gonna go with my trucks.
Okay.
Sorry, that took me a second to figure out that word. My trucks. Anything else? Sorry, I don't hate to take too much time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I have a question, actually.
We have Ivy. Oh, okay. Ivy, Marissa,
Right.
we have one more question. You've done such a wonderful job that people want to.
So I'm just gonna ask, is there any thought of not penalizing this process for a while or at all? I mean, I feel like because tenants take a long time to get into the habit, and they change. And I think like culturally, we like as people that own buildings, it is all about tickets. It's all about penalty instead of having like a communal positive habit changing thing. Like in Japan, people don't think about structure of just constantly penalizing for habit changing things. So you can make contests of like making the signs more fun or whatever, so that people have a buy-in. But the city just needs to think about ways of just stopping this constant ticketing for just about everything. Thank you.
Thank you. I definitely hear you. There was a warning period, and that was for this whole month. And we've been doing outreach since October. So not as long as maybe you would like, understood, but I will say we've been out in the field since October talking about compost. But thank you very much. I understand what you're saying. Makes total sense.
Thanks, Ivy, and thanks, Marissa. Next, we're going to go to Lois Rakoff.
Okay, this is fun. I'm speaking to you as the community director of the Edgar Allan Poe Room. This is a free event with a delicious, delicious reception of food and drink, free, April 4th at 6 p.m. at 245 Sullivan Street between West 3rd and Washington Square South at the NYU building. It's Furman Hall. And we are having an actor, don't laugh. And we're having an actor come, oh, please laugh. Okay, we're having an actor come in to be Edgar Allan Poe, and he's going to read some of his works, his original works. And then we're going to go to the Poe Room and eat, drink, and have a good time and schmooze and network and socialize. And this is free. It looks like this. It's outside on the table. Everyone should come, and then they could socialize. Around 7 o'clock, we have the socialization part with the eats and the drinks, and it's free. But I would like you to RSVP, and the information is on the RSVP. And would Dorothy Slater raise her hand? Dorothy Slater, is an NYU. Yes, she's belongs to me. We are friends. She is the liaison for NYU and the community director. Now, every Tuesday in June at 8 o'clock in Washington Square Park, there are free concerts given by the Washington Square Music Festival. You just line up and come in and sit down, and this is free every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. But in order for things to be free, because the Washington Square Music Festival pays the union scale or higher, the musicians, the sound engineer, the permits for the park, security, the instruments, and so on, we are having a benefit to support the Washington Square free, public to everyone, Tuesdays at 8 o'clock in June. We're having a benefit on May 15th at the Greenwich House Music School. And this is with eats and drinks, and we're going to have a concert. And this is what the card looks like. And everyone needs to get a ticket to come, even if you are a public official of some sort or campaigning. Everyone should support this. So, but if you want to come and schmooze and network, take a ticket, buy a ticket, and if you can't afford the ticket, get someone else to pay for you, and it's not a lot of money, and you'll enjoy yourself anyway, to support free concerts in Washington Square Park every Tuesday in June, 8 o'clock. Thank you. Any questions? Good. And you can find these things outside on the public table, but if you need one, you can raise your hand and I'll give it to you.
Thank you, Lois. And again, thank you to Dorothy Slater for being here and ensuring that we have this space tonight. Thank you. Next, we have Ryder Kessler.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk about something very controversial, Gilbert and Sullivan operetta. You all probably feel like you know more about me than you'd prefer, but one thing you may not know is that I perform Gilbert and Sullivan operetta with the Blue Hill Troupe, which is now in its 101st season performing GNS in New York. Last year was the 100th anniversary HMS Pinafore, and a really lovely contingent of CB2 folks came and saw it, and I think enjoyed it. And so a bunch of folks I think are planning to come to the Grand Duke, which we are performing April 30th through May 4th. At the beautiful theater at the Museo del Barrio on 104th and 5th. Erica, I think, is spearheading the group ticket purchase, so talk to her if you're interested. But the Grand Duke, not as well known as HMS Pinafore, but should be a really fun show. I will be singing and dancing and tap dancing, in fact, which is not conventional for Gilbert and Sullivan, tap dancing. But it is fun for the whole family. There are 6 performances, and you can find out details at bht.org. And Erica is convening the CB2 contingent. Thank you.
Great. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak during the public session for 2 minutes? And is there anyone online that would like to speak during the public session for 2 minutes that I did not call on? Thank you so much. So seeing none, I'm going to close the public session and hand it back over to our chair, Susan Kent.
Thank you, Valerie. At this time, I will take a motion to adopt the agenda. And a second, and all in favor. Thank you. Now we will turn to our reports from our elected officials reps. Folks, come up, first come, first serve. I will start with the folks in the room and then I will go to the reps online.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Say. I represent the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, Alvin Bragg. First, I want to thank State Senator Pearlman Siegel, Councilman Botcher for helping me by giving the updates on the interagency task force and most of all, their support of what they're doing. As they said, this is modeled after 2 other interagency task force, one in Midtown, one in Harlem. But I can say that this one started at the beginning of the year. It's co-chaired by your local community members, Byron Maloney, Vanessa Warren, and Scott Hobbs, and they've been very passionate and diligent in working their way through. They They do convene meetings every 2 weeks. They just had one yesterday, and they're finally focusing on quality of life issues with, let's just call it individuals in the area. And they've been able to connect with the mayor's office that deals with individuals with mental health issues. And they've been deployed today and hopefully the days ahead to try and help them with services on this. And other things they've been reporting, they've had different significant differences. The Department of Sanitation has been doing a great job helping with cleanup. Department of Transportation and buildings are in to help with the scaffolding. DEP's working on some noise issues in the area. So more to come on this. Hopefully you will see the difference in your area. Another area I wanted to highlight that we're working on in Manhattan and we're working now in this area is the issue of trespass notices. Trespass notices are not new, but what we've been able to do is work with other communities in Manhattan to refine, to work with the retailers in the area, because a lot of the issues here is petty larceny, retail theft. If a person's arrested, it's a misdemeanor. It's not bail eligible. We can't hold them. By helping the businesses properly apply a trespass notice, we're able in some cases to upgrade these petty larceny charges to burglaries, which becomes a felony charge. We've had cases in the Lower East Side where we've been able to get convictions and incarcerate some of them. So now we're working with the Village Alliance and the West Village for upcoming trainings for the retailers in this area so that we can maybe apply our existing laws more effectively. So those are the updates I have for you. Any questions?
Thank you, Peter. Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, online. Yes, Dr. Smith. And you need to unmute yourself, please.
Hi, thank you, Susan. What is the law for trespassing?
Trespassing is a notice, okay? What I'm
You're not
describing here.
into the microphone.
Oh, sorry. What I'm describing here is issuing a trespass notice where a business will go to an individual and say, you are not permitted. We're not allowing you to come into this business or this area. By properly applying that, we can take the existing whatever offense. In this case, we're talking about retail theft. If it's petty larceny, we maybe.
Excuse me, sir. You don't have to, you've already explained that. Obviously, if you're going to be taking some kind of action against people, there has to be a law. Do you know what the trespassing law is, was my question. You've already explained the process.
Okay, no, what I'm trying to.
If you don't know, it's okay. You can ask Alvin Berg or someone who's a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like for you to explain that when you come back, if this is what you guys are going to be doing. Thank you.
I can't explain that. I will pass it on to the office.
Yeah, you can tell Alvin, who I know well, that I asked that question. So when you come back, tell him to give you the law. So I'd like to know what it is. Thank you.
Lois, you have a microphone? No. There was one floating around. Is there one on the table?
We gotta wait for a mic.
There's an extra one on the table here.
I heard from another public official that DA Bragg has an initiative for some program for Washington Square Park for mental health, not alleviation, but to ease people in their emotional and mental health. And could you give more information about his initiative and how I could apply for it for Washington Square Music Festival?
Okay, I think what you're referring to is our Neighborhood Navigator Program. Okay, that's an initiative where the Manhattan District Attorney has applied, but it's putting counselors in the area, but it's in defined areas right now, in the Lower East Side, in Midtown, in Harlem, in Washington Heights. Right now, honestly, they're not deployed in Washington. We've had some in there. We're working with some of our elected officials to provide more funding, Okay, you need more funding in order to provide more navigators. Okay, so that's the honest answer to that question. So
Christopher.
maybe you can speak to the other elected officials, huh? Yes, I do. Okay,
Thank you, Lois.
other elected officials?
I see no more hands, no more questions. So
Okay,
thank you, Peter.
thank you.
Hello, my name is Biani Rodriguez, and I am from the Office of Council Member Carolina Rivera. I know that Susana prefers if we share something that is not in the board report. So I'll give everybody a little preview of what's going to be in our participatory budgeting ballot this year. So we're gonna have a Lower East Side playground soccer field redesign, a bathroom upgrade at Washington Irving School, another bathroom upgrade at Bard High School at Early College, a sensory gym at PS 19, auditorium air conditioning at PS 63, Union Square East and West medium refurbishment, STEM lab for M 361, tree guards for street trees all along District 2, and Argus cameras for PSA 4, 6, 9, 13th precincts. So Argus cameras are the ones that the precinct basically has their discretion on where they want to place it. So I encourage everybody to vote for the project that they want to see in the community. You're able to vote starting March 29th until April 6th. I also wanted to point out that we had a composting event about 2 weeks ago, and we are having another composting workshop virtually on May 14th. It's from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. I would send the link and all the information to Mark Diller. So if you are subscribed to the CB2 newsletter, you should get that information. Yeah, that's it. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
Okay, from our members. Is
Yeah,
it,
Cinco.
I'm sorry, because it's you.
Am I allowed to do that? Where east and west, there was something on the PD ballot. I didn't hear what you said now.
The median refurbishment.
Thank you.
Okay. That's okay. I see no other hands, so thank you, Biani.
I just want to say I'm not serving the tally committee, but it did take note that you let Nicole ask a question. Making it up.
You know,
That's on that.
a little leeway, I'm on my way out.
You can get away with this, Susan. Thank you, Peter. Okay, so sorry about that. My name is Sharif. I'm a community affairs liaison for State Senator Brian Kavanaugh's office. So happy spring, as everyone's noted. It doesn't feel like it, but happy spring nonetheless. Happy Women's History Month. Also, happy Irish American Heritage Month. There's, happy belated St. Patrick's Day last week. We marched in the parade up Fifth Avenue, and it was also a terrible day, but it was nice walking out there and enjoying that festivities. So as Senator Hoyland Siegel already mentioned, we are working on the budget process up in Albany. Both the state Senate and the Assembly have released their one house budgets. So we're working with the governor now over the next month. Some highlights on our end from housing. Wow, I'm so scared to make that go screaming again. But so the main kind of highlights from the housing. I'm gonna try it. Oh, it was that, okay. I don't think so.
You sound fine, actually, on the one.
Okay, this sounds good. I kept hearing the feedback coming in, so. Okay, some of the main highlights for housing, though, are $2.2 billion in housing investment. So that's about capital funding for affordable housing. That's 606 million statewide, another 150 million for rental housing, and 50 million for modular starter homes. So we're talking about housing production. We're also talking about tenant protections and eviction prevention. We're looking for 250 million for the housing access voucher program, especially right now with what's happening in Washington, with Section 8 funding potentially being threatened. We need to step up as a state to make sure that we're keeping folks in their homes, preventing evictions, and protecting tenants. We also are asking for 50 million in the shelter arrears eviction forestallment program, which already exists. There's a couple other things too. There's some 40 million for the home permanent home ownership protection program, HOP. We also have some things about lead exposure and weatherization and things like that. So those are the main highlights for housing. Just in the district, I'll quickly say we had our SCREE info session at Manny Cantor last month on the 27th. If anyone has questions about SCREE or DRE, need help applying or eligibility questions, please contact our office. And then I'll also say we have this upcoming event on the 30th, the e-waste recycling event with Carolina Rivera's office, Harvey Epstein's office, and Dan Goldman's office. So that's going to be at the Lower East Side Ecology Center. So please come by to drop off your old electronics for that. I think that's pretty much it for me. Thanks for the mic swap.
And okay, Rocio. Is there another microphone?
Yeah, here.
Thank you. Insurance for property owners that have family buildings, especially ones that are rent regulated, has gone through the roof, literally. And what are they doing to help property owners so that they don't have to pay 40-50% increase when the renewals are up for to be renewed?
Lovely pun there, by the way, about the roof. So yeah, that's something that I think we've been looking at too, because I think we're well aware that the insurance costs have been going up for homeowners, and obviously that factors in because costs get passed on to renters. It's also squeezing landlords. So it's a problem that we're aware of. I don't believe there's any active legislation on that right now this session, but it is something that we've been looking into. I don't make the decision. I think we're looking into it. We're working. We engage with the stakeholders. We're engaging with homeowners about that issue too. Like I know those meetings have happened. So.
Okay. Okay. No back and forth. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I have a question. I have a comment. Sorry.
Question?
Yeah, I have a question for him. I also wanted to know, for example, about the building insurance. So I had a new tenant for my commercial space, and it literally was to insure a commercial space was what I pay for the entire building. And that's super unregulated. I just think that that is crazy. And how is there any work, is anybody watching about the amounts that insurance are going up with no regulations, it seems like, or who's watching?
Yeah. So again, that's a problem that we are, I think, quite aware of. I have been talking to property owners about, and to your point about both commercial spaces and residential. So I don't have any immediate updates on that, but I think that's something that we're going to be looking at over the next year.
Okay. Thank you, Sharif. And I'm sorry, Katie.
I have the microphone, so why not?
Well, then I can't stop you.
Thank you. Sharif, Hello. Okay. Some of us have been working with your office on improving and strengthening screen and tree, which would, provide. Are you involved? I'm sorry. Are you involved in that at all? Can you report to everyone of that important work?
Yeah, it cut out a couple of times, but I think you're talking about the screen tree bills, right? To
Yes.
expand the programs. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not in the budget. It's not in the Senate One House budget, but we're going to be working to try and get some funding passed for that probably after the budget's finalized over the next few months.
Yeah. So it's really important. So thank you for focusing on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, you can just leave it on the table. Okay. I see no more hands, so thank you.
Hi, everybody. Connor Allerton from Councilmember Christopher Marte's office. So just a few things. In terms of legislation, last month, Councilmember Marte introduced legislation to ban the use of synthetic turf in city parks. We had a really big rally on the steps of City Hall, and we're grateful for all those who attended. 7 council members are currently signed on, and we're working with advocates to push the bill forward to get these turfs and dangerous microplastics out of the parks. We also recognize the overlap there in funding for parks to make sure that they can maintain natural grass once it's required, and also just the various improvements that we obviously desperately need in our parks. So the council member today joined the Fair Play Coalition at City Hall to demand the Parks Department be allocated 1% of the city budget. Only 1%. It's less than that now, sadly. We also introduced resolutions, as I mentioned last month, to support state legislation to create a social housing development authority. And we had a great rally outside City Hall with Assembly members Emily Gallagher, Senator Cordell Clear, Brad Lander, the comptroller, and dozens of housing and tenant advocates. Also, in terms of local law 97, which is the law that requires certain energy compliance from buildings over a certain size, that's been coming down the pike. We're having an info session with the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice coming up on April 10th over Zoom at 6 p.m. This will be an opportunity to give property owners and co-op boards a chance to learn more about the program, how to get in compliance, what kind of assistance is available for them, because there is quite a good amount of assistance that's offered. And so we want to just make sure that people have the appropriate information. That'll be coming up on April 10th. And we hope to actually send out the Zoom information for that shortly. And then finally, as was mentioned, participatory budgeting is coming up. Its vote week is from March 29th to April 6th. Our office, our district office at 65 East Broadway will be a site to place your ballots. We're also setting up various tabling sites around the district. So just keep an eye out for those. Like, as you know, anyone who lives or works here and is above 11, which I think is a bit of an arbitrary age, but you have to prove that you're 11 or we're kicking you out, can vote. So it's really a great chance to engage youth and people to talk about how you can be a part of the budget cycle in your city. And just to summarize, there's most of it is upgrades to schools around the district, specific to the needs of those schools. A couple things in Community Board 2 are repaving of the Vesuvio playground court, adding tree guards specifically to street tree pits, because we know that's been an ongoing issue. A lot of tree pits lacking tree guards. And then a couple blocks outside of CB2, planters for Barnett Newman Triangle, which is off 6th Avenue. And that's basically it for me. You can reach out to our office for more information about that.
Thank you, Connor. Any questions? No hand? Yes, Lois.
Okay. Oh, sure.
Going back to the AstroTurf, that was, there will be a question here. It was a boon instead of grass, but AstroTurf has caused abrasions. This is not just for the microbes, the parasites, the fungus, and all that going into the AstroTurf. Causes abrasions to, especially like in soccer, where the people, it's actually put scrapes and dangerous. Plus, there was a wave now that then and now to have AstroTurf cleats that you need to wear. So the question will be with the Parks Department, to put out the word if they're going to replace AstroTurf. And I think the mounds in Washington Square Park are AstroTurf now. I think that it's not the mounds, they call it something else, a spider webby thing now. And that people that engage in wearing cleats now have to have grass cleats. And did you know this?
I can't say, well, I know about there's a ton of reasons why turf is bad. It's not just environmentally bad, but like you said, you're more prone to injury, abrasions. You can, like, the plastics get everywhere. I'm sure people are familiar with turf. The park growing up by my school in Brooklyn was turf, and it was horrible. So it's a very personal issue for me.
Know all about it.
Yes, yeah. And so and there's actually a huge citywide coalition against turf that kind of came out of the woodwork once we introduced this bill. So it seems like it's getting a lot of momentum. So it's a good thing.
Thank you.
I see no more questions. Thank you, Connor.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, it's Andrew from the Manhattan Borough President's Office. I have three quick things I want to mention. One, thank you to those who reapplied for for this community board, and to all the new applicants who applied. We finished our interview sessions, I believe, yesterday, and we will make decisions typically around early May. So please stay tuned. Secondly, the Manhattan Borough President, Mark Levine, is having his State of the Borough address this Sunday, the 23rd. It's going to be in Morningside Heights at LaGuardia High School at 100 Amsterdam Avenue. Doors open at 1:30 p.m. The program starts at 2 p.m. Please RSVP. The link is on our website, manhattanbp.nyc.gov. We are expecting over 1,000 people. We want 3,000. We're expecting over 1,000 people. So bring everybody. We're not going to turn anybody away. We're going to have refreshments afterwards, performances. So we're going to have speeches, performances, and then refreshments afterwards. So once again, Sunday the 23rd. And lastly, we're having a fraud risk prevention workshop for seniors. You know, with the advent of AI, these scams and fraudulent messages are becoming more, more realistic, and which are causing a lot of individuals, especially seniors, to become victims to these scams and frauds. So this workshop will be at 2 hours on Wednesday, the 26th of March, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Eddie Windsor Sage Center, 305 7th Avenue, 15th floor. And there's an RSVP link. It's co-hosted by Stonewall CDC. It's an RSVP link on the website, and also on Stonewall CDC's website. And that's my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Yes, Lois?
Question, actually more of a point of information. Is LaGuardia High School that's near Juilliard and Lincoln Center, or is it someplace else?
That's the one.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, high school teacher here.
Yeah.
So that's Morningside Heights?
Oh, sorry. Then I misspoke then. Yeah, I misspoke.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to turn to the reps online. Now I see Robin, so I'll start with her, but the others appear as attendees. So if you folks can raise your hand so we can elevate you, so you can be seen as well as heard. And I'll start with Robin.
Thanks, Susan. Hi, everybody. I have three things I want to mention. First, I want to echo what was said by our elected officials earlier, and by Peter T. from the District Attorney's Office. We launched a Mayor's Task Force for addressing quality of life issues in parts of the village and Washington Square Park. We are underway. Mayor's Office, in collaboration with the DA's office and a very active group of community members, and things are really going well. It's very active, and it's really a wonderful example of how people coming together can achieve results. So I'm very happy about that collaboration. This week was or is Mental Health Week, and it marked the first of 3 years of a blueprint that the mayor had laid out. The focus is in restoring and maximizing inpatient capacity and expanding outpatient services. We received a grant from the state for $33 million. Combined with city funding, we've been able to restore 225 psychiatric beds in the city that were closed since the COVID pandemic. There's also been a renovation of inpatient units at 7 hospitals, an additional 163 beds. And there's, of course, been an accompanying addition of psych staff, both for inpatient and outpatient services. So hopeful that we are, and I'm sure we are moving in the right direction. We have a ways to go, but this is all very good news. The other thing I wanted to mention is since the beginning of the year, this administration has removed over 1,000 firearms from New York City streets, bringing the total since Mayor Adams has been the mayor to 21,000 guns, firearms removed. So again, step in the right direction, and the process continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, I'm going to call on Dr. Smith first. I saw her hand, and then I will go to Susanna.
Thank you. I just have a quick question for Robin.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Smith.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. What department or area or division that you work with? It just says mayor's office. And the work you're doing is very good. I applaud you for that.
Thank you. I'm in the Community Affairs Unit, and I'm a Manhattan Borough Director for that office.
I thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Susanna?
Hi, Robin. Susanna Aaron, Chair of the Human Services Committee. I wanted to first thank you for the task force. I know that they are working on issues in the district, and I've been in touch with.
I lost you.
One member.
You got to hold it. It's just at the right angle.
No, it goes in and out.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's that. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about the additional beds, if any of them are in Manhattan, do you know?
I don't, but I will check and
the
other that information back.
Thank you. The other thing, I don't even know which microphone works. The other thing that I wanted to say was that the closure of Beth Israel is a matter of great concern to us. As you know, Mount Sinai, I don't know. Mount Sinai keeps telling us that they have this new behavioral center on Rivington Street, which will substitute for the closure of the hospital. But as we know, that center does not accept psychiatric emergencies. Beth Israel did, and the replacement does not. So that means that all psychiatric emergencies now can only go to Bellevue, which in a climate in the city where the mayor has justly highlighted the importance of services for people with mental illness, that is of great concern to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, the closure of the hospital and the reduction in services in the area is really a state elected official issue, because it's the state Department of Health that oversees the licensure and running of the hospitals.
Oh, yes, we know.
Yeah. I will get back to you. I know Bellevue's services have been recently expanded, but I will get back to you with
Well,
the,
there's nothing really to get back to me on regarding Beth Israel. It's just lodging, the same thing that everyone will tell you. But mostly the one thing that would be nice to know would be where those additional.
yeah, the beds, that's what I was
Thank you
referring
very
to.
much.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I see no other hands. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Susan.
Next, Carlos?
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you see me? Oh,
We cannot see. Now
there
we
you go.
can see you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. Just a few quick updates from Congressman Goldman's office. So locally, Rep. Goldman, he's demanded the Trump administration to reverse staff cuts at HUD, field offices that are serving New York and New Jersey, highlighting the critical role in the public housing. He's also secured $50 million in IRS employee retention tax credit refunds, with 20 million aiding 289 New York small businesses impacted by COVID-19. Rep. Goldman has also introduced bills to establish an African Burial Ground Museum under the National Park Service and urged the New York State Department of Public Service to reject Con Edison's proposed double-digit rate hikes, which would burden residents already struggling with utility bills. In Washington, D.C., Rep. Goldman has co-sponsored the American Victims of Terrorism Compensation Act to fund terror victims and introduced the 9/11 Responders and Survivors Health Funding Correction Act, to secure permanent healthcare funding for 9/11 survivors and responders. He's also pushing back against the Trump policies, reintroducing a resolution to support the 22nd Amendment two-term presidential term limit, opposing education defunding, and calling for the reinstatement of the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Additionally, he's also co-introducing the Chief Herbert D. Profit Act to ensure benefits for families of fallen retired law enforcement officers. And lastly, Rep. Goldman will be hosting a second virtual town hall on Wednesday, March 26th at 7:30 p.m. For anyone who is subscribed to our newsletter, you will receive the Zoom invite there. If you are not subscribed and you were interested in attending, please subscribe. It will be live, but it will also be recorded. So if you do not, or if you can't make it, you will be able to view it on YouTube the following day. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Any questions? I see no hands. Okay, thank you so much. I'll go to Hayden next.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here tonight. It's great to be with you all. My name is Hayden Ryan. I serve as the Director of Special Projects for Assemblymember Grace Lee. So right now we're in the middle of a very busy legislative season in Albany, of course. Assemblymember Lee, she's up there 4 days a week fighting for our constituents. And so I'm here to provide a few updates on that work. So first, with the state budget is due on March 31st at midnight. One of our key priorities is securing that discretionary funding for the various nonprofits and community organizations that are providing these essential services in our district, and especially in light of the uncertainty surrounding federal funding. Right now, we're just working extra hard to secure that funding in the state budget. And yeah, that's one of our main priorities. Regarding our legislative priorities outside of the budget, we'll have 10 weeks to pass the legislation once the budget is finalized on March 31st. So we're preparing for that really hard right now. One of our main objectives right now is a bill on sidewalk sheds that we are cooperating with Senator Hoyland Siegel on. I believe Senator Hoyland Siegel spoke on it earlier, and we're working closely with him to move it forward. I'm, as I said, Director of Special Projects, so I don't work directly with our legislative team. So please ask all the questions you have. I might not be able to give all full details, but I'll happily take all your concerns down and relay them to the rest of our team. So please, happy to field any questions on additional legislative matters or community relations matters. I'll also forward those. Please, happy to take any questions, but then also feel free to reach out to us at our email, which is leeg@nyassembly.gov. Again, leeg@nyassembly.gov, or give us a call at our office hours, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., 212-312-1420. 212-312-1420. You can also find that on our website with a simple Google. And yeah, please reach out. Any question or concern, no matter how large or small, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Hayden. Any questions for him? Okay, are there any other folks online who I have not called, they have not raised their hands? I see like Tracy. Anyone, they may not have a report. Oh, she declined. Okay, okay, so I will assume that everyone who wants to speak has spoken. Okay, with that, let me just give a quick chair's report. This morning at Borough Board, we got an update on the application process. I will not repeat what Andrew said, but I will note that there are over 900 people have applied for the seats, so there is a plenty of talent to choose from. At exec, I had mentioned to our committee chairs that this is an opportunity for you to reflect on how we can strengthen our committees by looking for people with talent or experience that you may feel is missing. I want to extend that suggestion to all of our members. If you think about your committees and ways that we can, enhance them with maybe people that we do not, talents we do not currently have, please bring them to my attention, because that is something I am asked about. What are you looking for? So always helpful. Thank you. Borough Board was not particularly dramatic, but what was interesting about it is just how much we share with other boards, even if our demographics are different. If you are interested in a snapshot of what the borough looks like. Watching the meeting, which today was relatively short, is a great way to understand what's going on in Manhattan. On a more somber note, I know that a notice went out earlier this month about the loss of Michael Levine, who passed away at the end of February. He was a very much admired and respected member of our board. He was incredibly generous with his time and his knowledge. I know we will miss him. He is irreplaceable, but I wanted to acknowledge his passing, and I ask you therefore for a moment of reflection. Okay. Thank you. I do. This is not working for me either. I do apologize. I did make an effort to try to get more information. Unfortunately, there was not much. He passed away in the Philippines. He was with the family, his husband's family, who was supporting him at the end. So there just wasn't more to share, but I wanted you all to know that. And lastly, since this is my last full board meeting as chair, I just wanted to, it's been a challenge. It's been an honor. You are a very demanding group, but that's what makes it worthwhile. And that's what we're able to give back to the community, because you all step up and put in the extra effort. So thank you very much. It has been an honor to lead this board. And I know we will be in excellent hands with the next administration. Thank you. And now I will turn it over for DM report.
And this works. Thank you. So a big thank you to NYU, to Arlene, Valentine, Dana, who helped set up the room, and of course, Dorothy, who is here with us. Thank you, NYU. This is a huge help, and not just because it's right, a block away from the office. Also, a big thank you to Mark Moss and Harris Studios for producing tonight. It's a huge benefit. Thank you. So we have an election tonight, and as you all know, there's at least there is one office, not at least, there is one office where it is a contested election. So I'm going to walk through a couple of things, and I may be repeating, especially if you were at exec, but I think it bears repeating. There is a paper ballot. I put it on a different color, why not? And there's also an online ballot. The way the bylaws work is that I can only distribute the ballot online or in paper once the roll call for the election is completed. So there's going to be a couple of gaps here. First, we're going to do a roll call, and then I'm going to compare notes with the secretary to make sure that I have the correct list. Then I will send the electronic ballot out to everybody. I'm going to send it to everybody, including all you in the room, because the work of the tally committee would be greatly facilitated if those of you who are able could fill out the ballot online rather than on paper. And it works on your phone. So if you get your email on your phone, you can do it. I tested it. It works. Well, it worked on my phone anyway, and my phone is from the dark ages. So I'm hoping it'll work on yours as well. I'm going to give notice that under the bylaws, it is permissible for a board member to request to vote by phone, by telephone phone. And so I've acknowledged that. I'm letting you know that that ballot will be received. What I will do is I will take a paper ballot, transcribe what that voter wishes to vote for, and then I will make sure that that's part of what the tally committee does. It is important to remember that there is a period for voting under the bylaws. So you need to wait for the chair to, in effect, open the digital ballot box before you cast your vote. So please do that, because the vote, when you vote online, it's time-stamped. If you are voting on paper, up at the top, it calls for your name. That's really important because we got to make sure that we don't duplicate votes. So please remember to put your name on the top. And then there's a place on the bottom for a signature. I don't believe the bylaws actually require the signature, but I think it's good form. So it does require the signature. That's why it's there. Thank you, Carter. Okay. So, and it makes sense, right? Okay. Last but certainly not least, please help me thank our tally committee, because this is always something that's hard to get over the hump. Our bylaws require that the tally committee be the borough president's representative to our board. That's Andrew, so he doesn't even get a choice. And then there's the representative from another elected official. And we had to go a couple of rounds before finally Nicole agreed to do it. So thank you, Nicole. And oddly enough, the hardest part of this in my few years here has been to get a board committee chair to also do it. And Susanna responded to my twisting of her arm. So thank you, Susanna. Okay. A couple of other updates for you. One is you've heard a lot tonight about the Village Interagency Task Force. So all that remains is for me to say thank you to Peter and the District Attorney's Office and to the Mayor's Office for allowing me to sit in on those meetings. It's really very instructive, and it's a good bookend to the District Service Cabinet that I run every month. So thank you to all of them. The Airtable project is moving forward. I hope by this time next month, I'll be able to say that you can click on something on the website and see it. I will be attending the Government Ops Committee tomorrow at the City Council, because the community board's budget hasn't changed other than dollar for dollar increases with cost of living raises in 16 years. And of course, everything costs the same as it did back then. The couple of calendar updates, SLA 1 and SLA 2 will continue to meet at the Lenox Health Greenwich Village 6th floor conference room in April, while the basement of the church is undergoing some fairly significant renovations. A reminder that the June full board meeting date has changed. It's going to be June 18th. That's a Wednesday. Heads up for getting the board package together. It's going to be a little bit squeezed. The reason we can't meet on the 19th is that's Juneteenth. And we originally put it the week after, but for a variety of deadlines and so forth, that doesn't work for our committees, so we're redoing that. And I'm probably out of order, but I want to express a personal note of thanks to Susan, who's been putting up with my curmudgeonly ways for 2 years. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Mark. Okay. Thank you. At this point, I will close the public portion of our meeting. We are now going into business session, and we will start with an attendance. Attendance, yes.
Okay. And just a reminder for folks online, I think you all are, but if you can keep your video on just so I can see your faces and make sure I've got you, that would be great. Susanna Aaron, William Benesh, Keen Berger, Carter Booth, Katie Bordenaro, Anita Brandt, Amy Brenna, Rich Capopolo, Ritu Chatri, Valerie De La Rosa, Chris Dignas, Arturo Fernandez, Mara Fitzgerald, Stella Fitzgerald. Here. Gotcha, Stella. Cormac Flynn, Susan Gammy, David Gruber. I see you. Gotcha, David. Zach Kazaz. Did he just step out? Okay, sounds good. I'll make sure he's here when we're back. Susan Kent.
Present.
Ryder Kessler. Janine Kiley. Ivy Kwan Ars.
Here.
Thanks, Ivy. Patricia Laria. Benjamin Listman. Ed Ma.
Here.
Thanks, Ed. Matthew Metzger. Erica Olson. Brian Pape. Donna Raftery. Lois Rakoff. Bo Riccobono.
I'm here on Zoom. Can you see me, hear me?
I hear you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lucio Sands. Thanks, Lucio. Shirley Secunda.
Present.
Thanks, Shirley. Edward Siegel. Frederica Siegel.
Here.
Thank you. Emma Smith here. Dr. Shirley Smith.
Present.
Thanks. Thank you. Chenault Spence.
Here.
Thank you. Susan Wittenberg. Anthony Wong. Eugene Yu. And I'm going to go back for record keeping purposes. Zach Kazaz. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, now that we have an attendance, we can turn to election of officers, and the ballots can be distributed. According to our bylaws, all candidates have the opportunity to address the board. If you are running unopposed, you get 2 minutes. If it is a contested election, you have 3. I will start in reverse order with the Assistant Secretary. Would you care to make a statement?
I'm happy to run again, and thanks for all that you do. Everybody that volunteers their time like you do.
Thank you, Brian. Emma, you don't have, no one has to make a statement. I am simply offering it because it is what our bylaws provide.
As if you don't hear it enough. I will be very quick. I have really enjoyed getting to know all of you, names first and foremost, but it's been really nice to interact with you all and work with you in this capacity. I hope that you feel welcome always, letting me know things that I can do better or differently, et cetera. I would be honored to have another go at this role. And yeah, really, really appreciate you all and your work. And however I can make that work easier and in your minds more impactful, I'm happy to do it. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Anthony?
It's not going to take too long. There's some of us that get home to watch Matlock Thursday. As well as Elsbeth. But thank you very much. Hope to get your vote and continue being your treasurer.
Okay, now we have a contested election for second vice chair. So what I will do, I will call on Arturo if he would like to. Please, you have up to 3 minutes.
Timed it, practice it, might be a little over. All right. Good evening, everyone. It has been a great honor to serve with all of you this past year. By listening to our community, engaging collaboratively, and putting in the hours, we have made CB2 a more effective, proactive, and solution-oriented board. I'm running for second vice chair because CB2 is at a critical moment of transition, one we have all discussed but have yet to fully prepare for. That's why I stepped up and raised my hand to help future-proof the leadership of our community board. It needs a second vice chair who is forward-thinking, action-driven, and committed to ensuring the progress that is built to last. We are approaching a period of change, from term limits creating knowledge gaps to the growing complexity of issues our community faces. And I know I'm not alone in saying that I learned something new in every meeting, every vote, and in every conversation. Internalizing and adapting the challenges that CB2 must navigate. With uncertainty at the federal level, local leadership is more important now than ever. We need leaders who are present, prepared, engaged, and intentional about where CB2 is headed. This is why I also must address the nature of this election. Leadership isn't just about showing up. It's about being ready to listen, adapt, act, and deliver for our community. It's about foresight and planning, ensuring that as CB2 evolves, it becomes stronger with every transition. Institutional knowledge must not be lost. It must be passed down strategically so that CB2 remains a force of wisdom and a beacon of light in New York City. This kind of leadership does not happen by accident. It does not come from last-minute political maneuvering or procedural technicalities. It comes from deliberate action, strategic vision, and a commitment to the ethos that we do, of the work that we do. So CB2 needs leaders who are proactive and adaptive, not solely reactive. My vision for CB2 is a straightforward and honest one. A CB2 that operates with efficiency, transparency, and a commitment to action. A board that embraces modern governance, using technology and streamlined processes to make our work more accessible and effective. A board that fosters inclusivity, where every member feels empowered to contribute meaningfully. And a board that ensures continuity of leadership, so new members aren't left trying to rebuild institutional knowledge from scratch. Folks, when I considered this position in early January, I knew it was a serious commitment. When I found out at the February Executive Committee meeting that the second vice chair position had not received nominations, I made the commitment to step up and raise my hand. Because I knew that CB2 deserved leadership that was visionary, intentional, proactive, and focused on results. Not leadership that is reactionary to personal politics or preference. Colleagues, I have the experience, the track record, the energy to make this board.
I'm on the phone.
And the energy to make sure this board is ready for the challenges ahead.
Okay.
So I ask for your vote, not just for me, but for a stronger and more effective CB2. And if given the honor to serve, I promise you this. I will step up, I will lead, and I will make sure that your trust in me is earned every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And now we will hear from Donna.
Hi, so I was first introduced to the community board about 20 years ago. It was a time when the meatpacking district, where I do actually live, was undergoing one of its many waves of change. One evening, I was walking around assessing a neighborhood situation, and I met Elaine Young, a former board member and neighbor, who was out doing the same thing. She introduced me to the work of CB2, told me about the various committees and how to attend meetings. She said it was one of the best ways to have my neighborhood voice heard, and she was absolutely right about that. I saw the work that could be done regarding landmarking, land use matters, liquor licensing, and traffic issues that impacted my immediate neighborhood directly, and how long it took to accomplish many of those goals. When Elaine passed away in 2018, it was a tremendous loss both for me personally and our immediate community.
She and I did not always agree on everything, but from her, I learned so much about advocacy and the impact the community board can have in shaping our local communities. All of this is to say, I became active in the community through the community board, and I came to the community board through being an active member of the community. In 2018, I joined the board as a public member and was appointed to CB2 the following year. Joining the SLA committee became because much of the previous committee work I had done was centered around liquor licensing, and that's what I had the most knowledge about. The SLA committee has consistently over the years been one of the committees that works with and relies on the office the most to perform its functions. In my role as second vice chair, I look to be able to assist in bringing more efficiency to the office from the perspective of someone who has regularly dealt with the office systems. Because I chair a committee and have participated in many other committees' meetings, first as a member of the community and then as a board member, I have a thorough understanding of how the community board functions and its processes. I'm well qualified to support the chair and first vice chair in their roles as needed. I look forward also to mentoring our newer members and sharing with them the experience I have gained from being on the board these past 6 years and how coming to the community board through local neighborhood issues has shown me the true value of community boards and the important neighborhood perspective they bring to larger citywide discussions. I truly believe I will be a valuable addition to the board officers and can make a positive contribution in the work that needs to be done in that role. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Donna. And last but certainly not least, Valerie. Oh, I'm so. It's good.
Thank you.
Please, here, take my mic.
Thank you, Susan. It's been my pleasure to work with all of you for, I guess, since before the pandemic, right at the beginning of the pandemic. I would love to have your vote and your support as I run for first vice chair, and would love to have another year with you. Thank you.
Well, please, floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Let me just set my timer.
Oh,
Okay, so I will be brief in my remarks. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to run for this role. I believe that together we can shape our community through the work of our committees and our parks, our streets, sidewalks, land use policy, historical facades, city services, institutions, and licenses of all kinds. That is the work that is what keeps each and every one of us curious about how it all fits together through regulation, through legislation, agency rules, zoning text, RFPs, and the public interest. We have opportunities to create change, to empower our elected officials to take action, and to advocate for policy to shape the future of Community District 2. And we do this through the resolutions we pass at our full board meetings. And while sometimes our work product takes years to be fully realized in the public realm and takes diligence through that time to realize the end result, I'm looking forward with each one of your support to continue leading and developing new leaders as the chair of Manhattan Community Board 2 and providing guidance and support to the committees, committee chairs, our members, and to our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valerie. Okay, now that we've heard from all of our candidates, if you haven't already, please cast your votes. And I guess our tally committee will let us know when they have. Oh, yes, thank you. Okay. Okay. according to the bylaw, just to confirm, according to the bylaws, the voting will remain open for the next hour unless all the votes have come in. Once we receive them, then that would be the end of the process. So we will at this point move forward with the approval of the February full board minutes. First, does anyone have any changes? I'm sorry. You have up to an hour, but if if everyone casts their vote, then that will be, Mark will let me know and then I can announce the results.
So well, that's your ballot, which the tally committee will collect them. I should not do that. So. And hopefully you're populating my spreadsheet. I'll be right back.
It is what it is. Okay, anyway, so let's keep moving. At this point, does anyone have any changes to the February board or questions about them, edits? If not, I will take a motion to approve and a second, and all in favor. Thank you. Okay, next we will go to our standing committee reports and we will start with landmarks. Chenault. When you unmute yourself, you can start. Chenault, can you hear me?
Yeah, I won't be a moment. I just want to get the, I'm just opening my,
Okay, please go ahead.
I've got all mixed up with the. Susan, go ahead and come back to me. I'm just getting, the email with the.
Okay, well, next is human services, but I'm gonna skip that to give Susanna time and we'll go to schools. Patricia. Everybody is just too comfortable today. Oh, that was in the email that you received that there's one point at which you enter it.
Ready?
Please go ahead.
Okay. The resolution is titled Resolution Opposing the January 13th, 2025 Directive Allowing ICE Access to New York City Public Schools. Because my therefore be it resolved was so long, I'm going to just summarize it.
Ed.
Yes.
Ed, could you mute yourself, please?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So at our schools and ed meeting, District 2 Superintendent detailed protocols to support asylum seeking families and protect students from ICE interventions. The committee unanimously voted to condemn the January 13, 2025 directive allowing ICE access to New York City public schools. The resolution demands Mayor Adams rescind the policy, New York City Public Schools ban non-local law enforcement access, and reaffirm commitments to privacy, inclusivity, and equal education for all families regardless of immigration status. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Any questions? Yes, Susan.
Such a beautifully crafted.
Thank you. And I want to call out my committee for their input. They added a lot to it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, if there's no objection, we will vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Any recusals? Okay, Susanna? Okay, well, we'll come back to you. We'll go to street activities next. My pen.
Hello.
Oh, it's in here.
Good evening
No,
to everybody.
it's in here.
Can people hear me? Yes? Okay. We had a fantastic meeting this month. We had 7 resolutions on street activities. I will go through them quickly. And then we had a bunch of FYI renewals, so give me one moment. Number one, March 15th, Fever Tree at Broadway. This is March 15th, Broadway between Prince and West Houston. That was unanimously approved. Number two, March 21st through 23rd, Victoria's Secret bombshell activation in the Gansevoort Plaza. That was a unanimous approve. Number three, this was a mystery new brand launch in Gansevoort Plaza, March 27th through 30th. This one, they came and presented to us and basically said that they couldn't tell us exactly what the launch was for and what the activation would look like in particular. So we couldn't really approve that without knowing the details. That was basically a deny. And we also added another resolution, therefore be it further resolved. CB2 Manhattan asks that SAPO CECM set further guidelines for SAPO applications that require greater coordination between applicants made by expediters and ultimate clients, including the need to have someone from the applicant itself on site at the event at all times. That came out of an increasing issue we've been coming across where you have these expediters who apply on behalf of ultimate clients for events. And then if you go at the actual event and talk to the person putting it on, they have no idea who CB2 is or that they had to get a SAPO approval or what we talked about in the meeting at all, because there's such a disconnect between the applicant and the applicant, i.e. the expediter, and their ultimate client. And we had an issue with an event like that last month where they actually told us that they would have had someone on site if the client had paid them more, which is kind of an issue. So that we have added that, and we're going to keep pushing SAPO on that as well. And so the reason that therefore be it resolved came on that particular resolution because that particular applicant was the one that had had the issue in the previous month. Number four was March 30th through April 13th. This is actually just going to be April 4th through April 6th. Was someone talking? Or is that outside? That is the Montclair Mercedes-Benz vehicle parking, Prince between Green and Mercer Streets. That was unanimous approve. Number five, the makeup truck, April 9th and 10th, Broadway between Prince and Spring. That was a unanimous approve with one recusal. The last two, 5, 6, and 7 were no-show denies, but those are a long way out, and we do want to hear from them if we can. So they'll have the chance to come back. So it's structured as a deny unless, and those are both unanimous. 8 through 28, those are FYI renewals. Those were almost all adopted unanimously except number 23, which was 6-1 in favor. We had a great presentation as well at the meeting from MSWAB. That's the Manhattan Solid Waste Advisory Board. A member of MSWAB presented to us. I like to think of them as kind of our interesting community board cousin. They're all appointed by the borough president, like we are. It's a borough-wide board that really focuses basically purely on issues of sanitation and waste. They've been taking a big role in the composting rollout citywide. So I think it's a great organization for us to work more and more with and get to know, because at least for my committee and some of the others as well, we're addressing similar issues. So they're very good to talk to and get to know. They gave a really interesting presentation. I put a report in there. You can read about it, and it's mostly about composting and some of the topics that Marissa spoke about earlier.
Oh, yes, Susanna. Sure. And a microphone. Does someone have an extra microphone? We have one here. Oh, please.
Hi there, can you hear me? Sorry. Whoa, okay. I wanted to know, first of all, the one that you voted against, is that going to happen? Because it's next week, so I'm going to guess.
What, the Gansevoort one?
The Gansevoort.
Usually the Gansevoort ones, we're using it really to make a point. They almost always happen because they coordinate with the bid.
Okay.
And the bid generally makes sure it's in line. We just didn't want to set a precedent of approving things where we didn't know what they really were.
Thank you. The other comment I wanted to make is about one of the FYI renewals. There's one event that's on Broadway between 14th Street and Waverly Place, which is a very big piece of land. And it's for the Stonewall Veterans Association. I don't know what that is. I've looked it up. They don't have any financial declarations. They are listed as a 501c3. I don't know where the money goes. And I find it suspect. It seems to me like an organization that is selling to somebody else the right to make the money from the event, and then I don't know what their money goes to. So I just wonder what we do about that in the future,
Yeah.
or if anybody cares.
No, I mean, that one's come up many times in the past. What we used to do was, because we would ask questions about kind of what they did and ask to see, asked to see like IRS filings for nonprofit status and stuff like that. And we actually asked them to come every year, and they'd always come and they wouldn't really answer the questions. And it was kind of a waste of everyone's time, and we would issue a denial and then the event would still happen. So we, at some point, we kind of didn't,
Yeah,
it was an
didn't wanna
exercise
spend
in
the money.
futility a little bit. But that was addressed at our meeting, actually, again, this month, we talked about it.
Great, thank you.
Cormac.
Yeah.
Just hand you, there you go.
Yeah, and just so that it's in the record, I just want to stipulate that the issues that Susanna just raised about this particular group have been being raised about this particular group for 20 years at least.
Oh.
And they have been unaccountable, unanswered, sketchy this whole time. Nothing's ever happened about it. I just wanted that in the public record. Thank you.
Thank you, Cormac. Does anyone want to call out any of the items, the individual items 1 through 7, or the FYIs 8 through 28? I see no requests. Therefore, if there's no objection, we will vote them as a block. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Any recusals? Yeah, I'm sorry, we have.
Recusing on 2 and 3. She's a voting member of the meatpacking bid.
Okay, and Rocio? Okay, and Sands is opposed on 23. Yeah,
Yes. I'll repeat it. Or you can talk to it. Here we go. Erica.
yeah, we always need a reason
Yeah.
for a recusal.
I need to recuse on 5, the makeup truck. The product they're giving out is my client, Eric Olson.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay,
Carter.
oh, I'm so sorry, Carter. We can't hear you yet.
I'm still confused. So we're voting to renew something that the board's been opposed to every single year with no new information? Is that a mistake by the committee?
Basically, because it's a waste of time every year the same thing happens and the SAPO doesn't listen to us.
Did you guys discuss it? Was there any new information?
No new information.
So it sounds like the committee made a mistake then, right? You didn't have any discussion. And you're just changing it on a whim, even though the board's had a standing vote for 20 years?
Well, we could vote to lay it over and have them come. We don't usually deny without hearing from them. So we can lay it over and ask them to come next month.
Yeah, no, I just bring it up because I think that it puts everybody in a position where they've trusted that the discussion is happening at the committee each year, and that hasn't happened. And that's just, I think if we're going to change it, we should know why.
Yeah,
we can also have no position, which is what I would tend to lead to on that if we're going to do that.
Well, I would suggest then that we propose an amendment and have them come lay it over to next month, because we can't deny them without hearing from them.
Right. Or we could have no position if I just am uncomfortable changing the position without.
Yeah, that's fair.
discussion, 'cause
That's a fair point. Yeah. So yeah, I'm okay. If you want to propose amending, I would second that, and we can just have them come again next month.
Unfortunately, we have a vote on it because we just voted.
Well, no, the voting's still open. That's why I raised my hand. Well, yeah, but it's.
We are voting, we have finished
Right, but there's-
discussion, and we are voting. What do you want?
Well, like I said, I mean, it's kind of a travesty of the committee not to follow through on what the board's work has been. And if that's an oversight, I think that that's worth bringing up. And that's my point.
I wish you had brought that
Yeah.
up while we were still discussing this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if the vote's open, people can change their
Okay,
vote.
I will not, if you want to revisit this is number 23. Okay, we have now taken that out of the block. Okay? Is there, so we will have more discussion on this? Does anybody have anything they want to say about this? Okay, but Carter didn't make a motion yet. I'm waiting to hear from this.
He took it out, so we're not voting.
No, we voted on the other ones where this is number 23. It is still open and we are going, if you want to discuss it, we will discuss it. If you want to make a motion on how to handle it, we can do that as well.
I would motion that we lay it over to April.
Okay, I have a motion to return it to committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes, we have one opposition from Kessler. Any abstentions or recusals? Okay, that one is going back to committee and all the rest pass.
Okay.
Okay. Chenault, are you ready?
I am, yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
First of all, an imperfect copy was sent in and distributed, and Susan has a corrected one, which is all typos and technical things, and no substance is changed from what I say. The first one is
Those are just changes. Okay.
It's 5 East 10th Street. Application to restore the front facade, replace windows throughout, and modify certain rear windows, and remove rear facade louvers and restore opening, and construct a rooftop addition with elevator and stair bulkheads. We recommend approval of the front windows. We recommend the demolition of a non-historic rear addition. We recommend approval of the upper stories, double hung windows, and we recommend denial of the basement and parlor floor windows unless it is modified with divisions to define the separation of the two floors and break up the large expanse of glass with some reference to historic design and detailing. 94 Bank Street. Excavate the rear yard with demolition of the rear facade, construct horizontal and vertical extensions, and renovate the front facade. Approval of the front facade work provided that windows are of historic wood design as agreed by the applicant and the paint is historic soft white. They proposed metal ones and we on the spot got it settled for wooden ones. Approval of the demolition of the non-historic rear extension. Denial of the rooftop construction unless its height is reduced by moving the mechanical equipment to a non-visible location. Denial of the rear extension unless it is in line with the extension of the adjacent house to the west in order to preserve the remaining donut area, and that the upper floors above the parlor floor be historic punch double hung design in the historic tripartite configuration. Approval of the rear yard excavation investment, provided that all the regulations are followed with and customary care is taken with the underpinning and the security of the neighboring gardens to ensure the integrity of adjacent buildings and gardens. In this case, it's the garden rather than the usual walls that are being underpinned as well. 367 Bleecker Street. Remove existing rear extension and construct an added rear yard extension and add a rooftop structure. Approve the mass of the rear extension and the rooftop addition. Denial of the two materials, brick and stucco, and the rear facade and the north side, and recommend that they be in the same finish. Denial of the glazing and the rear windows, and that they be divided in a reasonable scale with some operating sections. That's it.
Thank you, Chanel. Does anyone want to call out any of those items for discussion or have any questions? I see none, so we will, I'm sorry, Katie.
I can't hear.
Is it 357 or 367, Bleeker? Copy says 357, but it sounded like you said 367.
No, 357. It's correct. No, 357.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other questions or anything, we will vote on all three items. All those in favor? Opposed? I'm sorry? No, any abstentions or recusals? Okay, they pass. Susanna's still doing that. We'll go to SLA then. Oh, you want, okay, go ahead.
Okay, there we have a report on a meeting that we had with Visiting Neighbors, which is a local not-for-profit organization that serves seniors in our district. And then we had a resolution opposing alteration to the National Park Service's description of the Stonewall National Monument. Therefore, be it resolved, the Community Board 2 Manhattan #1 is proud to house the nation's first national monument to the civil rights movement of the LGBTQ community. And 2, strongly objects to the offense committed by the National Park Service of erasing the initial T for transgender from a monument intended to accurately record history and honor those who have fought for their civil rights as American citizens. And 3, interprets this alteration of language as a statement by NPS denying that transgender individuals exist, or denying that they were historically harmed by laws and prejudice, or denying that they merit inclusion in the civil rights movement that this monument commemorates. And 4, finds that any of these objectives is offensive, inaccurate, and subverts the stated mission of the NPS to, quote, preserve unimpaired the natural and cultural resources and values of the national park system for the enjoyment, education, and inspiration of this and future generations. And 5 calls for the immediate restoration of the word transgender and its abbreviation on the Stonewall National Monument website and all related documents. And since we had no quorum, so we didn't take a vote, and Zach Kazaz, my committee, has since proposed an amendment that I would like to, so you tell me what the right process is for that.
Okay, if Zach wants to make an amendment, he's free to do so. If you want to present it.
Yeah, Zach, I will email it to you because we discussed this and we both like this.
But we need somebody to present it to the board.
Okay, so Zach, I'm emailing it to you right now and you can present it to the board.
And a microphone. He's coming up.
Thanks, Susanna. Also a little bit in light of what Senator Hoylman Siegel said earlier, we wanted to add an amendment, a new number 6 that says, in the absence of federal action, we call upon the city to add signage in clear view of the monument, recognizing the contribution of all LGBT participants in the rights movement.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to amend the resolution? And a second? And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So now we have a resolution as amended. Does anyone wish further? Yes, Katie. This here, right here.
There it goes. Okay. Zach, you said in light of what Senator Hoyleman Siegel said tonight, should we include the word state? Is it only the city that we should be asking to make changes, or we should be, giving a shout out that the state could help with that?
We can change that, sure. I mean,
Just add. I mean,
Okay,
just add.
so you're amending it to include state,
So the
City and state. Yeah.
city and state. Any objections? So everyone in favor of that? Okay. Okay, now we have the resolution as amended twice. Any further discussion on it? Yes, Ed?
Also want to express my deep gratitude for the committee for putting this forward. I have a question, which is there an intent to send this to someone in the National Park Service or the federal government?
Yes, yes, the National Park Service and the Department of the Interior. What they will do with it, I do not know, but we'll send it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. You may be on someone's list as a result. Okay, any more comments or discussion on this? Okay, then we are ready to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions, recusals? Okay, thank you very much.
To
for
whom
an
should I send the language?
That should go into the office. I mean, you can give it to Emma. Yeah, and it'll. Okay, so next is SLA.
Okay, SLA 1, we met on March 4th. So let's see, we had 19 applications, 15 resolutions, all the votes were unanimous. Soshin 68 LLC at 68 Thompson Street. This is a tavern wine application, previously unlicensed location, deny unless. Lab 2 Restaurants, Inc., doing business as Mido Amakazi at 88 West 3rd Street. This was a restaurant wine, deny unless. Everything is with stipulations being adhered to. PST Health LLC, doing business as Lifetime Natural Market at 408 6th Avenue. This is a restaurant wine, previously unlicensed location, deny unless. Hora Foods LLC, 469 6th Avenue. This is an on-premise for a restaurant, deny unless. Festive and Company Crosby Street LLC, doing business as Champers Social Club at 430 Broome Street, also known as 38.5 Crosby Street. This is a class changed to an on-premise tavern license, deny unless. Boney Restaurant LLC, doing business as Boney and Mott at 238 Mott Street, stores 4 and 5. This is an on-premise restaurant. It's a class change. This was a denial. And that was, like everything else, unanimous. Tartinery West 3rd LLC, doing business as Tartinery at 78 West 3rd Street. This is a class change to an on-premise restaurant and dining out MIC roadway. This was deny unless. Moore's LLC, doing business as Mizrahi, 36 East 4th Street. This is a corporate change. They have an on-premise restaurant license. We waived their appearance. That was deny unless. Gammon Cafe LLC, doing business as 7 Spring Street Cafe. This is an on-premise for a tavern. It was just a re-notification. We heard them back in April 2024. It was unanimously approved then. This was deny unless. 26 Bond Street Retail LLC, doing business as Jackson Bond, 26 Bond Street. This is an alteration for the DOT Open Streets Program. Waive the appearance. This was deny unless. Bond Design LTD, doing business as Vaughn 3 Bleecker Street. This was an alteration for the DOT Open Streets Program. The appearance was waived, deny unless. Plus 82, doing business as C as in Charlie 5 Bleecker Street. This is alteration for the DOT Open Streets. The appearance was waived and that was deny unless. I'm not sure which report you have. There were 5 in favor, 1 recusal. 55 Bond LLC, doing business as Fish Cheeks, 55 Bond Street. This was an alteration for the dining out MYC roadway. Appearance was waived. And that was deny unless. Same thing, 5 in favor, 1 recusal. Il Buco, doing business as Il Buco, 47 Bond Street. That was an alteration for the dining at MIC sidewalk and roadway. The appearance was waived. This was deny unless. 5 in favor, 1 recusal. Il Buco, doing business as El Buco, 47 Bond Street. This was an alteration for DOT Open Streets. The appearance was waived and it was deny unless. Also, 5 in favor, 1 recusal. And then items 16 through 19 are layovers or withdrawals.
Okay. Does anyone want to call out any of those items for discussion? Have any questions, any issues? Okay, I see no hands. So we have items 1 through 15, and then 16 through 19 are the layovers and no shows. Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually going to.
Go right ahead.
On 5 of the applications because I helped them do their applications. No, I live on the street and I wanted them to come in because this was the start of the outdoor dining process. And so I had pictures for all of them. So I helped them with the pictures, answered questions to get the process moving forward because Jackson Bond had applied first in advance, and it would be more efficient if everybody participated, came to the committee together since they were all part of Open Streets. So, yep. Do you want me to record? So I'm recusing on 11, 12, 13, 14.
Well, we
15.
actually haven't gotten the first, okay. If there's, does anyone want to call out any of these? Well, just wants to be clear. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Oh, any abstentions? Any recusals? Okay.
So I was going to recuse on 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 for the reasons I stated, that I helped each of them with the applications. And then I also have a financial relationship with the principals on number 11.
Okay. Valerie?
I'd like to recuse myself on number 11 on SLA 1. I have done consulting work for one of the principals.
Thank you. Okay, now let's go to 2.
Okay. We met on March 6th. We had 21 applications, 14 resolutions. All of the votes were unanimous. Yakitori West Village, Inc., 282 Bleecker Street. This is a restaurant wine application. Deny unless all of them are deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Okay. 365 Thai Inc., doing business as Moon and Back, 117 West 10th Street. This is an on-premise for a restaurant. Deny unless. Dante Grove Street LLC, doing business as Dante, 7981 McDougal Street. This was an alteration for the dining at NYC sidewalk and roadway. Deny unless stipulations. Sada One LLC, doing business as Empelyan, 230 West 4th Street. This was an alteration for the dining out NYC sidewalk and roadway. Deny unless. 86 Bedford LLC at 86 Bedford Street. This was an on-premise for a restaurant. Deny unless. 1 LW 12 Restaurant LLC, doing business as Sarab 1-3 Little West 12th Street. This is an on-premise for a restaurant. Deny unless. BBMY 14 LLC, doing business as Feet Box 248 West 14th Street. It's an on-premise for a tavern, also tavern wine. I think it's wrong. It might say restaurant wine. Deny unless with steps being adhered to. Caliente Cab Rest Company, Inc., doing business as Caliente Cab Company at 61 7th Avenue South. This was an alteration for the dining out NYC sidewalk. The appearance was waived. Deny unless. ZMZ Barrow Tavern LLC, doing business as Barrow Street Ale House, 15 Barrow Street. This was an alteration for the dining out NYC roadway. The appearance was waived. That was deny unless. Restaurants Associates, which is items 10 through 13. So Restaurants Associates LLC at 550 Washington Street. That's the first through fourth floor, the fourth floor terrace, floor 6, floor 9, floor 12. With a patio deck. This is on-premise catering facility with strictly a re-notification. We waive the appearance. Is it okay? I think it's okay that I just did all those 4 that way, right? Okay. And then 14 was AW Hospitality LLC, doing business as Stray's Supper Club. This we heard back in January. We just updated the stipulations to add a principal that was disclosed to us as our meeting, but at that time he was not a principal. The SLA is asking him to be made a principal, so we just wanted to get the stipulations clear so they wouldn't have any problem or any further problem, I should say. So that's that. And then I have a new business. So how do we vote on those and then go to the new business, or items 15 through 21 are layovers and withdrawals?
Okay, so let's let's vote on the committee ones. We have 1 through 14 and then 15 through 21. Does anyone want to call any of those out or have questions or any discussion on any of those items? Okay, I see no requests. Therefore, we will vote on 1 through 21 as a block. All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions or recusals? Okay, now let's go to 22.
Okay, so 22 Ruby's West Village LLC doing business as Little Ruby's Cafe at 225 West 4th Street. This is an alteration for dining out NYC sidewalk seating. It's really a re-notification. They presented the application to us in July of 2024 and CB2 unanimously recommended approval of the application. So as it says in the resolution, they can now apply for it. Nothing's any different. We have stipulations. The diagram is the same. So we waive their appearance and well, we didn't know about it. It came in afterwards. So but I wanted, the reason we're putting it through is because they're the first application actually in our community board to actually be approved by for the program. So we've had one as of when I checked today on the calendar, unless Valerie, you know something different. And that's the one. So since they already came, I wanted to get them on here so they could move forward with this because there's no reason to, we heard them.
Great. Anyone have any discussion on that item or questions about it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions or recusals? Thank you, Donna.
Okay.
Okay, let's do cannabis and then we will get the results of the election.
I'll be super quick. We didn't have any applications this month. We commented on proposed regulations for public convenience and advantage. The second time we've done this. In a nutshell, OCM presented back in October. We commented in December, proposed regulations around proximity waivers, right? For the 1,000-foot rule, that buffer between dispensaries. They had a 60-day public comment period. What they got back was tremendous opposition. 48 people wrote in totally opposed, 16 asked for major revisions, and 2 were in favor. So they sent it back to committee, and it came back with lots more guardrails. It's written kind of interestingly, and it looks to me and to many other people that they're trying to eliminate the 1,000-foot buffer between dispensaries overall. And even though other people say that's not what it says, it is in fact what it says. So we wrote a resolution about the new guardrails and, you know, better process, more detailed process for granting waivers and to maintain the 1,000-foot buffer between dispensaries. And it was unanimous, and I'll take any questions.
Any questions or comments or discussion?
They just didn't want it. They didn't want changes, right? The question, like a lot of them just didn't want public convenience and advantage waivers to exist, but it's in the regs already. The 7 criteria are almost identical to the 7 criteria for the 500-foot rule in ABC law, which personally I find pretty sufficient. You know, they're quantifiable. It's a list. You have to meet these standards and then it's okay. And if you don't, then it's not. But with SLA, the municipality really is the first line of defense. And it's very rare that the administrative law judge, which is the second step in the process, and consequently the SLA goes against what the municipality says. It's rare. It happens, but it's rare. With this, it would just be the Cannabis Control Board having the right to do this, regardless of what we say. And we would not be considered. So in the resolution, I made it like we have to approve these if they're going to happen. But it doesn't just affect us. It doesn't just affect the community. It affects the impacted licensees. You don't want, and we had this last month, you know, it almost happened at a giant MSO plopped down between two social equity licenses. They would have been dead in the water, not even open a year. So. That's it. Thank you.
Any more questions or discussion on this? Okay, we'll take a vote then. All in favor? I'm sorry. Oh, it's a last call, is a roll call. Thank you. Okay, it's a roll call vote.
Oh, here. Please. Thank you. All right, last vote. Susanna Aaron. William Benesh. Keen Berger. Carter Booth. Katie Bordenaro. Anita Brandt. Amy Brenna. Rich Cacapolo. Ritu Chatri. Valerie De La Rosa.
Yes.
Chris Stignas. Arturo Fernandez. Oh. No, I get it. I had a blip. Thank you. Got it. Mark Fitzgerald. Stella Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Thanks, Stella. Cormac Flynn. It's too late for this, guys. Susan Gammy. David Gruber.
Yes.
Zachary Kazaz. Susan Kent.
Yes.
Ryder Kessler. Janine Kiley. Ivy Quanars.
Yes.
Patricia Laria. Benjamin Listman. Ed Ma.
Yes.
Thanks, Ed. Matthew Metzger. Got it. Thank you. Erica Olson. Brian Pape.
Yes.
Donna Raftery. Lois Rakoff. Bo Riccobono. I think Bo might have dropped off. Let me just check. Bo? Okay. Rocio Sands. Okay.
I looked at, it is recorded as an abstention. Okay.
Shirley Secunda.
Yes.
Edward Siegel.
Yes.
Frederica Siegel.
Yes.
Emma Smith. Yes. Dr. Shirley Smith.
Yes.
Chenault Spence.
Yes.
Thank you both. Susan Wittenberg. Wait, oh, sorry. I'm like, she's just here. Gotcha. Anthony Wong.
Yeah.
Eugene Yu.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, and now we will hear from the tally committee. Or I'm sorry. Announce the results. My mistake.
So pursuant to section 8.3 of the bylaws, the tally committee has confirmed to the district manager the results of the election. And it is my obligation under that same provision to report them to you. And so I report to you that the next chair of Community Board 2 is Valerie De La Rosa. The next first vice chair is Eugene Yu. The next second vice chair is Donna Raftery. The next treasurer is Anthony Wong. The next secretary is Emma Smith. The next assistant secretary is Brian Pape.
Yeah, yes, you are entitled to the count on you can, yes.
Do I
this
do
is-
that here?
Our votes are open votes by
course they
law.
are.
So you can announce the number of votes each person got.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the votes for chair were 40 and 1 abstention. The votes for first vice chair were 39 and 2 abstentions. The votes for second vice chair Arturo Fernandez, 13, Donna Raftery, 28, no abstentions. The vote for treasurer was Anthony Wong, 40, with 1 abstention. The vote for secretary is 40 for Emma Smith with 1 abstention. I'm sorry if I screwed that up. And the vote for assistant secretary is 40 for Brian Pape with 1 abstention.
There we go. Is there any new, Yes, thank you, Tally Committee. Any new business? Then I will take
Susan,
a
I have
motion
a
to adjourn.
question. Susan, I have a question. Susan, I have a question.
Sorry? Oh, was it
Susan, I have a question.
yes, Dr. Smith?
Yeah, I actually stepped away from a minute. I had a question for Anthony. Did Anthony make his report or was it, did Anthony make his report?
That was the treasurer's report was last month. He didn't give a report this month.
Okay, thanks. I'll ask him personally, no problem.
But yeah, his report is in the minutes.
I have a question about his report in the minutes, but I'll speak to him. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are adjourned.